Are you rethinking your purpose in life? Being centered in a strong spiritual connection is more important now than ever. Hi, I'm Bryn, Blankinship, hypnotherapist, international instructor, and author. Each episode, I'll share my experiences with guiding spiritual regression clients into the afterlife and the soul lessons gained, prompting you to explore your own soul's journey and empowering you by shifting your perception of yourself and your place in this world. I want you to know that you're here by design, not by accident. You are not alone. You are loved. You are here on purpose, for a purpose. When you stand in your truth and fulfill your purpose, you support others in fulfilling theirs. If this intrigues you, stay tuned in as we explore. Hey everybody, Bryn Blankinship here. So today we're going to talk about something that's really important. And I want to share with you, well, let me just say, this episode is about status versus the soul, okay? Earthly status versus the soul. And I'm going to share with you one of my case studies from a Brian Weiss book. I met Brian Weiss at, I took his course. I was already a practicing hypnotherapist, working with Michael Newton and the Newton Institute, setting up, the Institute. And I took his course to take a vacation. He was on Oprah a couple of times that year, which every time he was on Oprah, my phone was ringing off the hook. And I took his course to have a break and to get to meet him and learn from him. So when he invited me to share one of my case studies in his book, it was really an honor. And this is the book. It's called Miracles Happen. And my case study is called Embracing Equality. All right. So let me just make an adjustment here. Embracing Equality. So this story is about my client's past life on a plantation in Virginia, and how that affects current life beliefs, perceptions, how that can be similar to current life perceptions and beliefs, and also how it can be different. All right. So I just, the world assigns status, and a hierarchy on earth based on wealth and certain other factors. Yet the soul truth is what carries true status, okay? It's the soul status that really elevates us in our incarnations and in the spirit world. And the soul is beyond race, it's beyond class, and it's beyond position, regardless. Okay. And that goes for every session that I've ever done over all of these years. But this one is near and dear to me. This one is the story of my client who, she went to a lifetime on a plantation. And I know this is a sensitive subject matter, so I really want to, I want to make sure you understand that we're coming from a place of equality and healing and the soul perception beyond earth, and what the soul experiences by choosing these various incarnations at these specific times in history, and how that connects to current life beliefs. So my client, her name was Gabriella, and in current life, she's a doctor, and she came to me because she had test-taking anxiety that had plagued her entire life. So she had issues with test-taking and the nervousness that would come up, even though she over-prepared. She would prepare, over-prepare, and still, the moment that she sat to take that test, the anxiety came up. So she wanted to understand that, and she mentioned some other things as well, but I'll come back around to that. So we go into the past life. That's going to help her understand this test-taking anxiety. And she is a 5-year-old enslaved girl on a plantation in Virginia. Her name is Sugar, and she's standing in the middle of a cotton field with her mother, and her mother's picking cotton, and she's standing there with her in threadbare clothes. So my client's noticing her hair's in disarray. She's wearing threadbare clothes in that lifetime. And this is Jamestown, Virginia in the 1800s, mid 1800s. So Sugar is the same age as Lily. Lily is the plantation owner's daughter, and the two of them are playmates because Lily's an only child, and so is Sugar, and the two are playmates. And the plantation owner goes so far as to allow Sugar to be educated along with Lily. Now, this was frowned upon. This was not allowed due to social norms back then. And the plantation owner did this secretly. And, back then you were educated, you brought the teachers in to the plantation. You brought the teachers to you if you were of a certain class versus sending your school to a group classroom. So it was really just Lily and Sugar in this classroom, which becomes relevant later on. So Lily and Sugar were playmates. Sugar became educated alongside Lily, and she was smart. Sugar was really smart. She loved learning. Everything she learned, she would go back and, repeat back to her grandmother and to her mother. She was so excited that she was getting to learn things and do things. And so as she got older, she was encouraged to continue her education. And she was encouraged to go to medical school. And the plantation owner helped get her into college and into medical school. So during this time, he also released her and gave her freedom. There was a lot happening. A lot of change was in the air at that time, but white women certainly were not going to medical school easily. And, it was a challenge for this woman as well, for Sugar. So she got older, she went on to attend medical school. She did that. She succeeded and became one of the first female Black doctors in Virginia. One of the first. Okay. And then she opened her practice in Washington, D.C., and she got married. She had children. And her whole life, she fought for people's rights, women's rights, people's rights, regardless of race, gender, or color. That's what she fought for. And so that's why the story is so important. And it's about equality. Equality is important. It is a theme that happens during all eras of our incarnation. So during all times in history, while some are trying to suppress freedom, there are others that were born trying to fight for freedom and advocate for freedom. And regardless, advocate for rights, regardless of skin color and gender. And so Gabriella is my client's name. And Gabriella, in current life, she is blonde-haired, Caucasian, blue-eyed, sparkly, bubbly personality. Like when she came into my office for the session, this was many years ago, but I remember it. And she just had the bluest eyes, and she was just really bubbly and upbeat, but her clothing was really sparkly too. And that's in huge contrast to the past life on the plantation where, she did not have those clothes. As she grew up and as she became a doctor and could buy her own clothes, that was really important to her too, to be able to wear nice things and present herself, wearing nice things. And also in current life, in her medical practice, Gabriella, advocates for equality regardless of gender, regardless of skin color. Like that is a theme that's been carried forward. And Gabriella, when we were talking about the session, she told me, she said, every time, ever since I was a young girl, whenever I would pass a plantation, I would just cry out for the people. I have this deep, strong emotion for the people that lived on those plantations years ago. Not only that, she has an affinity to Williamsburg, Virginia. She's taken vacations there. She became engaged to her husband there. I believe I know her parents went there, but I think they were also engaged there, if I remember correctly. And, so a lot of her soul group members were in both lives. They were in the lifetime that, they were the ones that helped support her with moving forward, being a doctor during those times. And they're in her life again today. And during the life review, this theme came up constantly, standing up for fairness and for people's rights, right? And so Sugar proved that women could do anything, regardless of money, regardless of race. And as a soul, her soul grew through this experience and the experience of living both sides of equality, because she knew what it felt like to be discriminated against in that past life and also in current life as a female. And being in the past life, especially being discriminated because of the color of her skin and being a female. And, opportunities were not available that, a lot of doors have opened since that time because of women like Sugar, because of people like the plantation owner that didn't agree with things that were happening in society. So he helped to educate this woman, this young girl, on this, on the side. He did it quietly, but he made it happen. And then he opened doors to help get her into college and help her advance that way. And she didn't let discrimination stop her. I mean, when I think about the obstacles that Sugar went through during that lifetime, these are things I can't even imagine. Growing up the way that she did, and then being introduced into this other world, and then going to college, going to medical school, starting a practice in Washington, D.C. Like, these are just things that I can't imagine. And this gets us now to the test-taking anxiety. So her test-taking anxiety came, my client's current life, test-taking anxiety came from the past life as Sugar, when she sat in a classroom of male students, being the only female, being the only Black woman. And this is the first time she sat in a room of people, of other students. Before, it had been like a one-room schoolhouse on the plantation with her and her playmate, who she knew. So that's where the test-taking anxiety came from, being timed, and just experiencing all of those new experiences and the pressure she felt to succeed. But she didn't let that stop her, and she did it. She succeeded regardless. So having that understanding helped my client, Gabriella, neutralize her test-taking anxiety in current life that had been with her since she was a young girl and in college, and when she was taking the state boards and all the things that she did to advance her career in current life. So you have two females, a Caucasian female in current life, a Black female in past life, both experiencing some discrimination along the way. yet succeeding despite that. And being able to look out for people, advocating for those others so that they're able to um, enjoy their rights as humans on this planet during all of these time periods, right? Because there's a lot of discrimination that still takes place, and we know that. So, as a soul, that's what this client was experiencing. And then also, my client in current life being born into a family of means and wealth. So, that was not an issue for her in current life. She grew up with material things, where on the plantation, Sugar did have some hand-me-downs sometimes from Lily, the plantation owner's daughter, you know, but that's very different. And it's a different mindset that you grow up with. But my client in current life, she doesn't judge. She's non-judgmental. And that's really the deeper message of the story, is looking beyond skin, looking beyond the exterior and not judging. And, because life may assign us status through social position, through all the trappings that come along with that. But the soul status is the true status. That's the true status. And the story invites you to step beyond and really identify and recognize equality and spiritual purpose of every life. All souls are part of the divine plan. All souls are part of the divine plan. And there is a spiritual purpose within every life. And the soul chose that life to incarnate into, to experience whatever it is that life and that status on the earth plane is going to offer. And so human identity can often conceal the soul truth. So think about that. When you're out and about, out in the world, and you see people, it'll make you look at people a little differently. And, regression can also reveal these deeper truths through all lifetimes. And we talk about that, on the show, we talk about that a lot. But, she also had other lifetimes that I didn't include in the book. It's not enough room. And sometimes you can dilute the story by sharing too many other stories. But she had other lifetimes where she was an advocate for equality. And that's a theme that she's been working on. So the takeaway is consider how easy it is to judge someone by their appearance. And if you're doing that, maybe take another look and look a little deeper. And remember that all souls carry this equality and truth for equal growth through all of our incarnations, not just the ones of status and wealth. In fact, that has nothing to do with soul growth. Sometimes that can stunt the soul growth because you don't step into your truth because of status. You feel like you can't step outside of the social norms. But the plantation owner, he took that chance. He helped this woman, this young girl, helped her as she became a woman. He saw in her ability to learn, her desire to learn, and her eagerness to learn. And he helped her as much as he could. And then she went on to build her practice. And so the client died at, I believe she was about 86 years old. And her body simply gave out. But her whole life, she was an advocate for others. And yeah, like it's also about compassion, destiny, hidden spiritual threads that are connecting one life to another and that carry us through all of these lifetimes. And remembering that lifetimes on earth, earthly status is temporary. Earthly status is temporary. It's part of the soul's journey. It's rooted in the soul's purpose for what they're here to experience. And in this case, it was about equality and growth, soul growth, and really being a trendsetter, stepping beyond, and and not only stepping beyond and being there for herself, improving her life through her education and starting her practice, but also using her position to help others. So she took what she had and used that to help others the same way the plantation owner did that for her, right? And then in current life, the client, Gabriella, she does the same, but she has a deeper understanding of where that thread came from and why that continues to influence her today, because it's part of her soul's purpose that's carried through many lifetimes. It's a theme her soul is working on. So you can learn about something by having it, by not having it. You can learn about equality by being discriminated against. You can learn about equality by being the one who discriminates, in lifetimes. But in this case, she she really has compassion and love for humans and others, and really stands up for others who can't fight for themselves, or helps others who are trying to fight for themselves, so that hopefully we can get to the place where we don't have to do that anymore, where things are more equal. And, it all starts in those lifetimes where we have those people that stand up and advocate for others, because that's their soul's truth and that's their soul's purpose. So you have that dichotomy as well with the plantation owner who had wealth, and he did things with that wealth to support others, to bring them up. And then he freed, he gave her freedom in many, many ways. Her education unlocked the door to freedom, and she was able to help others along the way. So that is why this is one of my favorite stories. And that's why I'm very honored to be able to include that one in Miracles Happen, the book, Brian Weiss's book. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm Bryn Blankinship, the Afterlife Teacher, and you can follow me on Instagram, Instagram, Facebook author, Threads. We've started a Threads. You can listen to previous episodes on my YouTube channel, Bryn Blankinship. And until next time, thank you very much, and we will see you then. You've been listening to Afterlife Teacher, Soul Lessons bringing you full circle with Bryn Blankinship. Tune into Transformation Talk Radio for more discussions of the soul's journey across different lifetimes and soul lessons gained, helping you to consider the deeper reason you are here. Bryn shares her wisdom spanning 20 years of guiding spiritual regression clients into the afterlife and connecting them with their spiritual team and soul's purpose to bring them full circle, helping you gain insight into your own soul's purpose while supporting others in fulfilling theirs. Living in partnership with your soul, with less worry and greater trust, you can be in divine flow and thrive. For more information on becoming a certified hypnotherapist and regressionist and assisting with the global transformation taking place, visit brynblankinship.com.